Hi, Maria, back with another video. It's 7:14 p.m. It is January 7th, 2020. I think it's Tuesday evening. I think it's Tuesday. For now, we'll just, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday. Anyway, so I'm just kind of kicking back today, and I was, doing what I needed to do to get back on my feet and today. And so I was doing some thinking, in between. And, I didn't think a whole lot about my anger issue today. I really didn't. I was more focused on getting myself together and, reorganizing and restructuring everything in my mind as to what I need to do. And, I will say that, I'm, I'm, I'm willing to, I was thinking about today, some of the things I used to do before I actually got into accounting. And I kept thinking some of the things I used to like, about work. And, I'm open to doing some things, different things. I was focusing on accounting for a long time because that's what I've been doing for such a long time. I didn't know that my life work or whatever I was doing was intermingled with other people, and it's unfortunate that it was, because I would have continued to do that. Um, maybe not here in this town, but maybe I would have moved somewhere else, and it's unfortunate. I was thinking how covenants or family type things, oriented type things aren't for me. Like, I never realized, like, when I was growing up, my family never led me to believe or raised me to believe that things are like family units. Like, it was all like, once you're out the door, you're out the door. So and then when I thought that I married Joel, we got, it was like he basically gave me the impression that we had our different jobs, and we split rent, accordingly or whatever, and then that was that. I mean, we never discussed, that people would have, a say in what I did or anything. So, it is disturbing and very upsetting at the time when I realized what was going on, that this had changed my life in this manner, and that so much work that I put into what I was doing really doesn't matter. And I realize how women have very little security. They have very little security in this world, and it shouldn't be that way. The laws are on our side, women's side, but unfortunately, it's and of course, race does play an issue into this as well. But I think I'm more upset with the grabbiness of how all of this happened, and how I got caught up in a whirlpool of confusion and all this other stuff. But I'm wanting to move on, and so I'm getting my resources together, and it's hard because it's I don't know anyone in this town. I have been forced into isolation for a very long time, and mostly due to the confusion of not knowing what was going on around me. Like, I knew that this is intense stuff going on around me. Like, there was chaos being played out in front of me, like, all the time. And I knew that there was issues of harassment going on at work, but I didn't understand who all was involved or anything. And so I don't know this town. So I'm opening myself up to possibilities. And and so now that I'm not focusing on accounting, or even necessarily working in a office, I'm like, okay, well then what are the things I can do? You know what I mean? And so this is what I'm focusing on. And yeah, I think it's, the pay will probably not be very good. But, oh well. You know, um, I don't need a bunch of stuff. I mean, but I think really what's important for me is to do work that is a little bit more um, faster moving, and also something that's going to pull me out of the isolation, because isolation is really the worst thing that could happen to a person. It is a terrible thing. I think I did a video recently talking about the effects of isolation that it had on me. And then I also referenced, some video that I had just watched the day before I made that video about, how it affects people. Like, they have isolation in the prison system. They have isolation in, some of the, I guess, some like mental health type facilities. And the result is always bad. It's not a good thing to put someone in isolation. And I don't have to be like upfront talking in somebody's face, to feel like I'm like, not alone. It's just that, when it's not a good thing to, have rumors or gossip spread about you and then being sent off, way out in a different area, a very secluded area, I might add, with no contact with anyone or very little contact with anyone, and then come home and have this, very dreary life because, the image that people have of you is based on rumors. They're based on, rumors. I think the issue relating to the people that I used to know on Facebook, as well as the issue of what my old marriage or / divorce or whatever you want to call it, and then these preconceived ideas all get mushed up. And so I did these videos to clarify this issue. And all of it really has, I didn't think so much about that today. I was thinking more about moving forward. You know what I mean? And so I'm not extremely picky. There's certain things I cannot do. I simply can't do. And so I just avoid that. And I'm just kind of pushing forward. Like I said, I don't mind working 2 part-time jobs. One full-time job is better, but in some ways 2 part-time jobs would be better too, and cool, because it would give me variety. And really that's what I want more than anything. Like, I want to like be in different environments, but not too far apart from each other. Whatever. I'm just kind of keeping my mind open. I was very grateful today. I was thinking, I'm so grateful. And I've said this before, but I am so grateful that my son is grown, and that something like this, I mean, it was bad raising him because, I had people coming into my workplace and causing problems, but still, I mean, I would say it got worse. This is like the worst it's ever been. And I'm just glad that, he is an adult and that I'm not having to deal with all of this as a parent of a young kid, because that would be too much. That would be too much. It is a lot on a person, a lot. So so I'm getting my I was actually proud of myself that I wasn't like over anxious about that. I'm that issue, the gang stalking issue. I wasn't over anxious about it. I wasn't sick. I mean, I still get a little queasy when I think about some of the things that happened, because, like I said, some people don't understand what the meaning of what they do, or why what they do is shocking, or they don't even see anything wrong with it at all. Like, I see a lot wrong with it because, like I said, I'm divorced. Okay, I have papers and everything, and then knowing that somebody could do that, would it be so insisting on it? And then people, I mean, the whole thing was just really disturbing to me, all of it. And then the issue of me supposedly having to ask permission from somebody, when I'm a grown adult and I've never consented to that, and all of that was extremely disturbing to me. And then I guess also the fact that it was made to seem like I was being rebellious when I'm not being rebellious at all. There was no agreement. So it bothered me that people would expect me to be okay with what I perceive to be abuse as what the law perceives to be abusive. And I'm dealing with people that can't understand or don't understand or whatever. And unnecessarily, because some of these people really shouldn't have been involved in the first place, is what I'm saying. And I'm not trying to. I'm wanting to bury the hatchet because it's better for me to move on. And I've said this before. And as you notice, this video is not like, you know, pointing out a bunch of stuff. I'm more talking about, what happened to me today, and how I plan on dealing with the rest of the week and the weeks after this. You know, I did talk about marriage and all that stuff in my last video. I think it's a video I made last night or the night before. And, I know that people found this whole issue interesting, and I find it like, I find it tacky and offensive on so many levels because, number one, something like that should have never been put out in the public. And everyone seemed to have known about this rumor and all this gossip about me before I even had any idea. So I had to figure all of this stuff out. You know what I mean? And it bothered me that, you know, relationships are like kind of like belong to a corporation in some way, in the way that it was set up in my case. And that is so disturbing to me. That is so disturbing to me. That that was the most sickening thing that I had ever, like, to me, that's the worst thing you could ever do to a person. It is the worst thing you could ever do to a person. And I don't ever want to be in that situation again. Like, I know people always talk about marriage and stuff like that, but I don't want it. And I understand that, I'm going to get older. I don't really think I'm going to be living that much longer. You know what I mean? I don't know, maybe 20, 30 years, maybe. But the thing is that I don't have anyone that I could trust. I don't trust anyone. I don't want to be associated or affiliated or have contact with anyone that put me in this situation. Because, or be, what do you call it? Even loosely associated, like, that would terrify me. Because what I've dealt with, by just the very fact that I was pleading for such a long time, and you could hear that I was terrified. But yet, they kept this a secret, and they continued the abuse. After video, year after year. And maybe, like I said, maybe they finally get it. But to me, that's like, I don't see that any different than holding a woman down in a basement and holding her down and tormenting her. I don't see it as any different at all. You know what I mean? And so, I feel like I have to really protect myself, and that I can't trust anyone anymore. Like, people lost their minds and tried to force me into something that terrified me to death. And that's how I feel. If somebody tells you that something bothers them, or they don't agree with it, or they're scared and they persist, that's terrorism. And I felt terrorized for a very long time. So I was thinking about other TIs today, and some TIs, they, like I said, some people think it's the government, some people think it's whatever. But most of it is like on the work/family level, and it seems really big. And in some ways, it is big because it is far more devastating to a person emotionally to know that people that they cared about did this to them. Like, the government, there are people that you might see on TV, certain people on TV, if it was like this big conspiracy, right? But I doubt I could ever be a part of a big conspiracy, okay? But some people think that they are. Some people think that they are. Somehow, I've heard people talking about their blood type, that they're being targeted because of their blood type, because of this and that, whatever. But most of the time, these targets are victims of work, family, and people violating laws. Okay, and people who you worked with or whatever are a little too friendly with, members of your family or whatever, and then they don't realize that legally, in some ways, they are violating your rights, and they are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Okay, I understand, like, work and family. Some people, like, especially people, like, for example, people who raised in this town. There are people who went to school here, and they grew up together, and they work for some of their friends, families, and that sort of inter type of exchange. Okay, and that's the way it is. But sometimes, those things can be bad. You know what I mean? They can be bad. First of all, I'm not from here. So, I'm the girl with the dark skin that everybody, so they got this family member, and then they're talking, a family member that is an ex-family member, but still, who's white, who looks like everybody else, who everybody believes, and people forget my rights. They forget that, number one, this person should not be standing in talking for me, and blah, 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 blah. I'm not mentioning any names. I'm just basically telling you how it feels when people do not want to listen to you as an individual, and people who walk over you and feel like they have the right to walk over you and never once takes in consideration of how you feel. Okay, it is right up there with rape. It's right up there with some sort of abuse. I would rather be physically abused than had to deal with what I experienced. It was horrible. Seriously, horrible. And I think you guys can understand what I'm talking about. It really affected me, and it would be easier psychologically to believe that the government was after you than to have to accept the fact that your own family did this to you. That's hard. That's very hard to deal with. So anyway, all I care about is I'd like to get back to work as soon as possible, and I'd like to learn these new things. Yeah, I'm starting. I'm starting all over again. I'm starting all over again, and I saw a post today on Facebook. It was a meme, and it was basically saying, "Has anyone ever lost everything and had to start all over again?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've lost everything multiple times. Every time I'd lose my job and have to move or restart and start another job only so it could be knocked all over again. And then now I'm at a point right now where it's like, my gosh, these people took everything. And they said they gave me these jobs, but then, like, they did everything they could to ruin them for me, too. So it's just like, wow, but it was hard on me. It's been hard on me, but I really just want to move on, I don't really care. Like I said, there's certain things that I'm not capable of doing, but I'm falling back on things that I used to do, and things that I didn't mind doing, I didn't mind doing. Um, and so I just want to, not have to spend so much time alone. Like, I know that I'm different, okay? I'm not trying to force my ideas on anyone. I pretty much just keep my opinion to myself, but I need to hear the voices in the background. I need to hear the chatter. I need to hear the light banter. I need to participate in some light banter. I can't live like this. I'm not interested in, another thing that bothers me about this, though, is that, they acted as if I was supposed to be punished. They acted as if I was supposed to be punished, and I wasn't supposed to be punished. I'm not the one who should be punished. Like, and I believe that they were, when I say they, I'm talking about everybody who did this. It made no sense for me to be in isolation because I didn't do anything that was wrong. And if I did do something that was wrong, if I was breaking any laws, that's something that law enforcement is supposed to handle, and I wasn't breaking any laws. And so, I'm just woke up this morning. I dealt with a little bit of anxiety because because, you know, I know that I have to look for work and everything, and so I deal with that. I deal with it, but then I pulled myself out of it, and I just kept moving along, chugging along. It is it bothers me so much that people could just think that this is an okay thing to do, and that women really don't have any protection, you know, under men who think that they can rule over their wives or their ex-wives or any sort of thing like that. That is it's dangerous, you know, and I don't know, it just I can't trust it. And it's not just that. I mean, really, you know, when you've dealt with people and you've seen a certain side of them, you don't see them as something that you want to get close to. Like all I think about now is protecting myself from people who have lifestyles or views different than mine that are abusive to me because they don't know any better. I have to protect myself from people who don't know any better. You know, and that's pretty much how things are. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I've got some things I want to take care of, and then tomorrow I'll be doing what I need to do. You know, just whatever. You know, I just want my things to change. I want to forget, you know, and forget. And the best way of forgetting is to just go out there. And what I mean by go out there is to start working and forget about it. Get back into a routine that's somewhat normal. And the sooner I do, the better. Which is what I was saying the entire time. And the very fact, like, you know, there were times where they would put me out of work. And I mean by they, I'm talking about the groups that were involved in this. And then that's not what I needed. I don't need to rest. You know, the rest moments are far more painful than anything else. You know what I mean? When they pull you out of work, that's more painful than anything else. You know what I mean? So I don't believe that these things are, and they do it because they thought they were teaching me a lesson. Like, I believe it has something to do with me eating apples at my desk. That's shit you pack in your lunch. And yes, I have the right to eat apples versus Hostess Ding Dongs or something. Yeah, I do. And see, the very fact that somebody would say something or believe that or punish somebody for something like that, it's not only is it against the law, it's against my human rights. It's just not a valid reason. And see, that's why I don't want to deal with shady employment issues where people are hiring me for any other reason or any other function other than what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, this is another reason why, because, you know, it's a form of bullying that that is very damaging to a person, you know, and it's not a valid reason. It's not a valid reason at all. And you know, I'm just I've learned a lot from this. You know, I learned a lot from this and opened my eyes. And this is one of the reasons why I'm saying why it's easier for me to just shrug my shoulders and say, okay, you know, I can leave this behind. If this is what you guys are concerned about, if you don't like the fact that I was working in accounting or whatever because it gives me a better opportunities in life or whatever, then, like I said, I won't work in accounting. I won't work in an office like that. I won't do that. But obviously I have to, you know, I have to work, so I will just do something different. You know, and I'm not going to be, you know, I will find happiness in my job somehow. You know what I mean? I will tell you, being at work is far better than being at home all day long. You know what I mean? But I have to do something that's reasonable for myself, you know, and that's just the way it is. So anyway, going to wrap up this video. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening, and I'll be back with another video some other time later. Good night.